Welcome back to episode 103 of Tall Boy Radio. We've had a little break for Christmas, as we mentioned, so if we're a little bit rusty, we apologise. Haven't recorded an episode now for 4 weeks, although you still be getting them regularly because we created a backlog just before so that we could enjoy a little bit of time off over the festive period. But we're back. We've got a load of guests planned and we've got a new guest for you tonight. But before we introduce them, let's go around the room, say hello to the regular host, see what it is that they're drinking, and if they have any shout-outs for anybody.
Evening, guys. I'm really looking forward to this. Always great to have a guest on our podcast. This evening, I am drinking Delirium, which is 8.5% of pure goodness. And just in case that goes, I just have standard bottle of Left. There you go. All good tonight, guys.
So that's it. You're drinking Andy's beers. Let's find out what Andy's drinking.
I'm on an American style IPA tonight. I don't know if it's going to focus, but it's the one with my face on it apparently. So thought I'd give it a tipple. And it's in a Beaver Town glass.
It's a good. I've tried that before. It's a good night.
I feel like you guys have switched beers tonight.
Yeah.
So the beers I'm drinking tonight are the ones that are very kindly donated by Stuart from Borderlands. So myself and Andy placed an order with Double Trouble. We might mention them a little bit later in the episode. And they kindly sent us some beer. So the first beer, I cracked it open before because I've got 3 to get through. I probably won't get through all of them, if I'm honest, but I might get into the third. So the first one I'm drinking is the Borderlands-esque blonde, obviously esque being the river in which the town of Langham is located next to. And then, obviously, Andy, you tried these as well, didn't you? You've had these on the podcast. I've got the Taurus IPA, and we questioned what was Taurus. So I've done a little bit of research. I've had 4 weeks to get it done. And Taurus is the valley in which the Langham village sits as well, where the brewery is based. And then finally, the Riva Red, which I think was the one your least favourite of the 3, wasn't it, this one, Andy?
Possibly. It's quite a while ago.
Yeah. So, I'm saving that one to last on your say-so. And obviously Riva is the trail which leads down from Scotland to England and runs through Langham, apparently. So that's where they get their names from. Just a couple of quick shout-outs before we introduce our guest. I want to say, first of all, happy 5th birthday to my daughter. She is 5 the day after this episode drops. So happy birthday, Matilda. Happy birthday, Teddy, as I better know her. What you're doing listening to this podcast, I don't know. But again, that goes for the rest of you too. And then just a couple of get well soons as well. So if you're saying happy birthday to little Tiddy, we need to say a get well soon to big Tiddy, who was struck down with the coronavirus over Christmas. But God bless him, he's had his is it ivermectin? He was telling me that he's got that sorted, and he actually doesn't feel too bad, and his whole family aren't too badly affected. And the 2 pub time guys as well, Brad and Ryan, both of those unfortunately contracted coronavirus. Well, yeah, Brad was quite poorly over the Christmas period, and Ryan got it afterwards, and he's just getting better now. And Brian's dad as well, unfortunately, was affected and actually ended up hospitalised with that, but he's back out now, back on his feet and doing great. So that's wonderful to hear for you guys. Right then, that's all that out of the way. That's all the business done. Let's introduce our guest. I think we sort of trailed this one a little bit before. We probably mentioned it last episode. It's been a while since we recorded it now, but I think we did. So we're joined by Lou, and he obviously is going to talk to us about a pretty serious issue tonight. Do you want to say hello, dude?
Hello, hi there.
Cool. So Lou, obviously, he's going to talk to us. You know, he got in contact with us via Instagram. He has an account called Men Have Lupus. And do you want to explain that a little bit to us and tell us a little bit about that and as to why that is an issue and, you know, and where the name comes from?
Yeah, with Men Have Lupus, it came from when I first got diagnosed. It was trying to reach out and figure out if there was any other men out there that was struggling with the same issues that I had, because it was kind of trying to find, it was unheard of, or when you talk to other people about men getting lupus, and unable to find groups with men that could go and talk amongst each other without being, you know, feeling like they were being judged or looked down, or for whatever reason. You know, you get that kind of, I don't know, with society looks on you in a social setting, kind of comes on. So sometimes you don't want to open up, and stigma, basically. So I decided I wanted to have a little space where people like that could come to and try to spread awareness that men can get a disease called lupus.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be dead honest with you. Until when you contacted me, obviously I did a little bit of research because I probably come at it from a bit of a point of ignorance. If I'm really, really honest,
Yeah.
I didn't know too much about it. I literally thought it was just an affliction of the skin.
Uh-huh.
And then when I did the research, I was actually really quite surprised. But also, roughly around about the same time, there's a lady who used to work for me. I was speaking to her, and it turns out that she's just been diagnosed with lupus as well. And when I looked into it, like you say, there's a stigma attached to it because is it just 1 in 10 of people who have lupus are male?
That's where they say the statistics are. Give me a whole second. But when what they go by is a lot of times, and I think a lot of it is mistesting or unawareness of it, because you look at it was like between birth and 18, 50% of the cases are men. From 60 to death, we're looking at another 50% cases of lupus are men. But from 19 to 59, it's only 10% of cases of men.
Wow.
So there's this huge segment out there, and they go out there's only 10% cases of men. So I feel there's a lot of them aren't aware of it or are not getting tested, and it's getting missed.
Yeah, 'cause that's one of the things I read as well, that it's often not diagnosed because is there a real test for it? As tested categorically says.
Yes, they have ANA panels, which is blood work they can do. There's also, if you want to go a step further into it, which I had to press in to get mine finally, because with the blood work, it'll come up sometimes borderline. And if you're not flaring that time when you're in the doctor's office, or depending on what's going on with it at that time, it may not show up. So trying to track it down, even with a ANA panel, can be a nightmare, and you can spend months, if not years, doing that in. A biopsy, it helps a lot quicker and faster on basically pinning down that there is a lupus in there, or you can go to the extreme of doing a spinal tap, and it's really it's a one size fits all on that end if you're going to that end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. Go on, sorry, guys.
No, I mean, it was. My wife is a GP and is a doctor, so I've obviously asked her a little bit about it, and she said something similar: is that it is quite uncommon, particularly in middle-aged men, and she said she doesn't see a lot of it at all. And she actually, obviously she said symptoms can range from pretty mild all the way up to life-threatening. I was like, blimey, I didn't realize that. I just thought it was a rash, a reaction.
Yeah.
Soreness, just joint pain, soreness, and that sort of thing. But actually, you do a bit of reading, and it's livers and heart and kidneys, and you think, crikey, and that's me married to a GP, but I'm sorry to say this, quite ignorant about it, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens. I mean, I was the same way until I got really hit with it hard, and it knocked me on my feet. I got all of a sudden hit with seizures out of the blue, and interference, and I didn't correlate that with lupus at the time.
Right. Okay. So in terms of the symptoms that you have, then sort of what symptoms do you experience, and for how long? Because I know that they can sort of come and go as such, but are there any that are sort of more sort of prevalent or more sort of noticeable than others?
I have my case, because there's never the similar issues with it, makes it so hard to find it, because it hits everyone so much different. Yeah. But I have a lot of issues with my kidneys. I suffer from organic brain disease, which is neuroatric psychiatric lupus, which is really not really talked about even in the community itself, or discussed about, where it affects a lot of my brain issues. So those are the main issues I struggle a lot with it.
Wow.
Effects on my life.
Yeah, I think the more and more I read into it, the amount of symptoms, like you say, when you talk about the neurological side of it as well, like it can affect your emotions, mood swings, and that, and then seizures.
Actions sometimes in certain really severe cases.
Wow.
It can get really scary.
Yeah, it can, and it really shocked me, to be honest with you. It really shocked me. And I think I read as well, is an estimated 5 million people worldwide with lupus. And there is. Am I right in saying there's no cure for it? It's just
No, no,
no.
no.
So it's you can control the side effects and the effects of it by some medication I read, and obviously steroids to give you a little bit of extra energy. But obviously we know with steroids that there's a danger to taking too many of those.
Yes. In my case, I have ran out of actually treatment options. It was, typically they use what they call immune suppressant drugs, which they use for like a lot of kidney patients to kill the immune system. And then, like you mentioned too, the side effects on top of that just can become horrifying. And there's a lot of other treatments to go to the extreme now are cytotoxins and that can produce cancers.
Wow.
There's still no guarantee of a cure on top of going down those routes of treatment.
Wow. So in terms of would you have lots of anti-inflammatory tablets, so joint pain and muscular pain sort of medicines as well? So I suppose you'd be taking quite a concoction of medicines just to try to deal with all of the different types of symptoms that you have.
Yes. I mean, early on into my early on diagnosis, I was taking 60 pills a day.
Wow.
Gee whiz.
You got the base medications, and then like you said, you go out from, you have kidney issues, so we have to treat the kidney issues, and then you have liver issues. Well, let's treat the liver issues, and then you have GERD from the side effects, and it goes on, and yeah, you feel like a pharmacist walking away some days.
Oh, right, yeah.
When you look.
So in terms of sort of the kidney, then would it be dialysis, or is it a problem with the kidney functioning? So have you had dialysis then? Is that a treatment that you've had, or?
No, that's my only option left. I mean,
oh wow, really?
Yeah, and then there's still chances. I mean, yes, people do go on and get kidney replacement. Yeah, but there's still chance of it could possibly even come back then at times, even after an organ replacement.
Wow.
Yeah. So in my case, like I said, I'm terminal. I'm just letting it run its course at the end of the day. So, but
wow,
marijuana has helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big proponent on that end of it.
And is that legal in Michigan now? Is it for medical use or?
Yes, and recreational.
Yeah, is it recreational in Michigan?
Yes. Yep.
And you do find that helps quite a lot, then, do you?
Yes, it's actually helped a lot, I think, in helping my kidneys really function as long as they have, and the pains just to be able to function normally around the house, do little things. I still have my days, but instead of having to rely on Oxycontins and that end of it, to be able to go, with marijuana, it's not as harsh and side effects.
Wow. So in terms of sort of during the day, yes, you sort of kidney and issues. In terms of sort of joint pain, hand pain, are you able to sort of walk okay? Are you able to sort of grip things, hold things? Is it literally a joint problem as well, or?
Early on with mine, it was I was using a walker. I have necrosis in my hip, severe joint issues. What is it? Arthritis all throughout my spine.
Wow.
So, yeah, a lot of mobility issues. Yeah.
Jeez.
It can be very debilitating, and unfortunately, a lot of cases don't even qualify for disability.
And is that because of the ignorance of either the insurance companies or the diagnosis from the medical profession in terms of it being lupus?
As I'm not qualifying, or just not getting?
Yeah, you not qualifying. Yeah.
It's just, I think, it's how it's structurally written in the system and everything. You have to have two major organs to be life-threatening.
Right.
And even then, a lot of times people. I've just talked to a guy recently where he has to let go of his disability because he can't even afford to live on it and has to find a regular job. So there's no sense in him staying on disability if he can't support his own self and afford to live. And then he's going to let his lupus is just going to go back into remission and out of remission, and he's going to go back into who knows what. And
it's a dangerous circle, that one, isn't it?
It is. It is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And are there a lot of people sort of in that category then? I'm guessing he won't be a one-off, will he?
No. And then that's my major real drive when I started Manhattan Lupus was because of what I struggled with, of almost losing everything just because of a disease and just having, someone shouldn't have to have that and struggle that hard while trying to deal with an illness in the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, just then, obviously, the world's been a little bit different over the last 2 years. How's that affected you? How have lockdowns and what have you? How's that affected yourself?
Me personally, I mean, I guess I've gotten grown used to it with trying to keep myself safe with my lupus and being, isolate because of, I was wearing a mask in 2014 because of the direct medication and not having an immune system. But as on the other end of it, though, you have people that are out there with a compromised immune system dealing with a virus now that can be even harder and deadlier on them. And there's vaccines, yes, they're working, but with the medications and the way lupus works, it is having a not a great effect at keeping it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it makes it even harder for the others out there in a day-to-day struggle. They have to, can't have the, luckiness of being able to do that.
Right. So in terms of sort of you men have lupus, is that like a worldwide thing? Have you had sort of guys from, you mentioned Australia, that you speak to, people, are they getting in touch with you? Is it just an American sort of based sort of conversation, or are you being touched by people from around the world?
Yeah, all worldwide, all countries. We have people in our group.
Right.
We have a group online that guys go to and talk about their issues and stuff and discuss things. But even messaging and stuff too, we've contacted and they've contacted us and talk and.
Yeah, and that must be quite humbling in a way, but also, quite empowering that actually, you've done something about it, you've put it out there, and I suppose just to share the story and share the impact of this on people must be, you must feel quite proud of that.
It's not so much for me. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I really just want to get up and being able to get in a situation like my project of wanting to provide tiny homes for people that are in these kind of situations where they don't have to struggle like this anymore. Yeah. And get them the necessities they can live with in life, even in other countries, where we can open up a discussion to where they don't have to struggle like that. Someone shouldn't have to lose everything and almost be homeless and trying to deal with an illness and then trying to crawl back up is just, it's devastating. And then the stigma on top of it sometimes can even be harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you sort of say, it's not, I get, you don't think about it as being a proud thing, but it's the one thing that really stuck out to me when I read your story and I engaged with your website is when you read about it, you didn't really know you had it, you got diagnosed with it. Mm-hmm. And actually the first thing then that you do, rather than focus on how it affects you, is thinking about other people who also need assistance, the people who may or may not be in a worse off position than you. And now, for me, that blew my mind. That level of almost not self-aware, but actually to think that there are people out there that need assistance. I think if it was me, I would probably spend a long period of time focusing on myself and think, probably dwelling on, almost like a self-pity kind of a thing. But to read your story, I found it that, not only a great deal of pride that you should have in it, but actually I found it inspirational.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think looking back, before getting really taking the wind out of my sails with lupus, coming off of a really hard back injury that I went through a lot of hard life struggles and things like that in my life. And the Trucking Santas program my wife ran, did a lot of that, we did a lot of that early on too, where we would donate cerebral palsy facilities and give them Christmas. So we've always kind of done that, I guess. So I just don't like seeing other people having to deal with something that this isn't something that shouldn't be such an easy, hard thing to fix, I think, in life at times.
Yeah. And it's hard when you see people struggling almost through no fault of their own. It's not the decisions that they've made that have put them in that situation. It's almost a hand that they've been dealt, and it must be, it's quite hard when you see whether it's friends, family, loved ones, or people at the other end of a keyboard in a different country sort of struggling with something that actually it's through no fault of their own, or no poor decisions that they've made, and they're struggling with this. That must be quite hard.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of the stigma on my end of it too. Has really drove me. Is I had a lot of problems with family members and friends wanting to reject it and saying, lupus, you're faking it. You're just, you'll be fine with medication. You're okay. And there's stories like that just go on not talked about, and people just are scared to come out about it. Or people that haven't to this day brought up about their lupus to their own family because of
what. So why do you think there is a stigma then? What is it about lupus that you think is the stigma?
I think the fact that certain people think that they're being weak by opening up, or
right,
or they just there's just a stigma that if they're a man, that they have to be this provider and strong and manly, and I can't let this in, and this isn't me, and
okay, and I get that, and I get the fact that it's maybe a gender issue in terms of I need to provide, I'm the man of the house, I need to go out and work, and if I can't do that, I'm going to be seen as weak or inferior or whatever it may be. I mean, it's absolute nonsense.
No, it really is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's a shame that people can't talk about lupus along with a number of other issues just because they feel as though that they are a man and therefore they can't do that. It's a bit like a mental health thing. You look at mental health and there's a big issue now surrounding with coronavirus and lockdown and mental health, and you try and break down the barriers for males to talk about mental health, and actually it's okay to say, I'm struggling a little bit, I do need some help. And I suppose it's the same in the sort of lupus communities, that the stigma's attached to it, I suppose.
It really is. Yeah, to be able to just finally go hey, it's okay, throw your hands up and cry, or let it go, or reach out for help, or I need help, or, for other reasons. Like I said, in my case, the reaction I got was so bad. I can understand why some after that don't want to come out, or they've seen things, or for whatever reasons they have in their life. There's people that are scared to come out because they're going to get labeled and they might lose their jobs over it, or it's unreal, some of the stuff you come across, and it's not right.
So your site, in terms of, are you looking at sort of practical steps? Is there a charity element in which people can donate and help others out?
Yes. We have a link at our site at menhavelupus.org, and actually we're in the process of looking at purchasing a property in the States, and we've eyeballing Maine just because it'd be close to like Johns Hopkins and the other hospitals that they can get treatment. And putting up a tiny house community for people that are waiting on diagnosis and disability. And we've had to talk long and hard about it because of people that are the average person gets $1,200 a month on disability. Average is what the rates were last year. So trying to survive on something like that out of the blue with kids, when the average person lives paycheck to paycheck, to nothing of your own. So anyways, go on, but we're going to have a tiny home place where they can come, get on their feet. We'll have greenhouses, be a sustainable place where we can get them help and get them in the right direction and get them on a path where they can get healed, or, a treatment options. And if they want to decide to go in a different work area, they can get retrained.
Well, I mean, I'll raise my glass to you and salute you, because that sounds like an absolutely phenomenal thing that you're doing, and I tip my hat to you, sir. That's a very altruistic, very selfless act that you're trying to do. So I absolutely tip my hat to you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that is an incredible story there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the real thing that we have to look at is a crying shame that it takes someone like yourself to do that in the first place. That there's no proviso there for it. But fair play to you for doing it when there's nothing else there.
I guess there's a system that needs to be fixed, and I just want to step up and try to fix those myself and try to help ones like myself and not see it happen.
And it starts with the raising awareness. It's the raising of the awareness. It's then, once you raise the awareness, it's then trying to break down the barrier of the stigma attached to it. And once you get through that, then I suppose it's the practical steps that you can then put in place, and go, being brave enough to go to your doctors and getting the diagnosis and making people aware that actually, yes, this is an issue. The problem I think that you have initially, and hopefully you're breaking through that, is actually is men saying, yes, I think I have this, and actually being brave enough to say they think they have this and go to the doctor and say they think they have this.
Start asking the right questions and get on top of their health on it mainly is the main thing. This is the main, a doctor visits, $45 or whatever it may be, wherever you're at, versus hundreds of thousands of dollars in an ER trying to figure out, or hospital stay, and watching everything just disappear because I was thinking you hopefully, if your family, ask your family if they may have lupus in them or things like that, so you can actually know what to look for in the signs and maybe push for an AA test to catch it earlier so it can't catch you off guard.
Excuse my ignorance. So is it a hereditary thing? Is it something that runs in the family?
Yeah, it can run in families. It can either run in families. There's otherwise environmental, like what's words I'm looking for? Super fun sites. Very, those kinds of areas. Higher environmental factors too.
Right.
And medical too. Like there's certain medications out there that can cause it, but
I read that.
So it can be environmental then. So it can be things that might be in the communities that you live or in the atmosphere or various things.
You live like a very highly polluted area, and those kinds of things can either trigger it on there. Yes.
Because I just, again, it's my ignorance. I just thought it was effectively an autoimmune inward thing, and it's either in your genes or it's in you. And I genuinely never thought it could be.
Yeah, whether it be dormant or something, whatever, these things can all of a sudden trigger the body. There's been done cases of people in accidents, all of a sudden it just, whether it's dormant or whatever it may be, is, there's a lot of military have come out after the anthrax vaccinations and Agent Orange issues too, with diagnosis of lupus or trying to even get. I'm dealing with a guy that he goes back and forth on it.
So is there anything in terms of the environmental? Has there been any work in terms of what it is in the environments that triggers a lupus reaction or not? No, because that would be really interesting.
It would be.
What is it that actually triggers that lupus reaction, and then you start to deal with trying to break those things down.
What have we introduced around the environment that maybe have caused more cases possibly? It's there's a lot of things to look at out there.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm blown away just by in terms of I suppose the number of people that you think actually that could be them. Some of the symptoms you think, crikey, like you need to go and get it checked, I suppose.
Charles Kuralt went his whole life trying to figure out things wrong with him until after he died and he did an autopsy, figure out he had lupus.
Wow.
But he was in and out of doctor's office with weird symptoms they could never pinpoint.
Yeah.
People being called hypochondriacs and
that's I suppose again goes back to the stigma bit, which is family members or friends saying, no, come on, you're fine, just get on, you've just got to and it's that type of conversation, isn't it? Yeah you'll shake it off, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Up until the day where you get liver failure or kidney failure, and then you go to A&E, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crikey, you've been suffering this for years.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, and I was also reading as well. It affects your diet as well. The things that you can and can't eat. There's things in your diet that once you have it can trigger flare-ups. Things like saturated fats, fried foods, whole milk, cheese, and some butters. And there was another one which I can't read my writing, unfortunately.
Garlic, I'm thinking right. Yeah, garlic when they'll trigger flares.
Wow.
What's that? Huh? Echinacea.
Yeah, that might be. That might be what I can't read in my appalling handwriting.
Yeah.
So when you do get a sort of flare up, then how long does that last? If you excuse my ignorance, is it a couple of days? Is it a week? Is it prolonged?
It varies. It can last years. It comes and goes. Yeah, it's the flares is basically a disease kicking back up and saying hi. Basically,
and I suppose the nature of the illness in terms of the anti-immune thing, an autoimmune thing, is actually you then struggle to deal with that, and therefore it probably is prolonged because you can't deal with it.
Yeah. It's an ongoing battle then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that. Yeah, wow. That's it's heartbreaking really when you think about it.
Yeah, just go away or tooth loss. It's completely destroyed my teeth, either from the disease and the medication on top of it. But yeah.
Yeah. Blimey.
Yeah, there's like Gaz says, you know, you almost read it, you feel a little bit guilty afterwards for being that unaware of something like that.
I was sitting here thinking, I'm 48 years old. I'm a relatively well-educated guy, and I'm like blown away by how much I didn't know about it.
Well, this is it, you know what I mean? Like Gaz says, his wife is a doctor, so if anyone has a decent sort of medical knowledge base, it's, you know, it's Gaz, actually, to be fair. He probably knows more than most, and like we were talking about it, and it has sort of quite shocked us. So one of the things sorry, go on, dude.
No, just, you know, my surface knowledge was, when Adam first said, you know, we've got someone going to come on talk about lupus, I was like, oh, okay. So joint pain and maybe a bit of a rash. Okay, I've got that now, and that was my level of sort of knowledge
of it. Yeah.
And obviously talking to my wife, and she's a bit, no, it's a little bit more than that.
Dermatologists would be doctors that handle it.
My superficial knowledge was a bit of joint pain and a rash every now and then, and you treat it, and yes, you might never cure it, but it's manageable at that level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's my family's reaction was to it when I came to them about it.
Well, I apologize about that, because that you know.
But yeah, that's why that was why I had to really get messages out there, so others didn't have to deal with that misunderstanding in the, you know, it's just it's just lack of not knowing.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing in that respect. The lack of knowledge out there about it, and just in amongst, you know, not just the three of us, but just the community in general.
Yeah.
So one of the things it mentions on your website is to understand the autoimmune system and how it affects energy levels is to be familiar with the spoon theory. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So basically, you rate things into how many spoons it's going to take you to do. And that's kind of like how tired you're going to be at the end of it.
Right.
Yeah, I must admit, I had to go back and read it twice. I was like, well, why is it spoons? What's the relevance of the spoons?
Yep. So if you ever come across any kind of lupus stuff and you hear about spoons and spoon theories, and it took 4x spoons. Yeah,
that's it. And when I was talking to the wife about it earlier, and I thought, you know, I'll tell you what, when I'm explaining it to you. So I went out and I bought myself a whole load of spoons earlier. So, you know, you know me, guys. I do this.
I do know you. Yeah.
So I bought a load of spoons and I handed them to her. I says, right, you know, I'm going to explain it now. And I want you to talk me through your day from first. Obviously, we got 2 young kids, like nearly 5 and 2. You know, talk me through your day, and, you know, hand over one of these spoons each time. You know, you think you're using up like a couple of units of energy, and literally, I think it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and she was all out of the handful of spoons that I'd handed over, and that's quite terrifying, really. You know, when you actually start thinking about it in that respect.
Yeah, because like something like, you know, when you're dealing with it is going out to, like, you know, a birthday party or something maybe seem normal or average, but to do that, you know, it may wipe me or somebody else out for a couple of days or a week, you know, or you know, or going out to sing an event or something like that. Yeah, so you kind of have to judge and make plans, and sometimes getting that across to others, and they misunderstand when you have to cancel all of a sudden or other reasons, and they start thinking, well, you're just flaking out. It's like, no, it takes some time, and sometimes I can't control what happens.
Yeah.
So coming on this podcast, which first of all, we have to say thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving it the time.
Thank you.
No. And, you know, was that something you had to plan for then around your day, around the energy levels, and something you had to think about?
A little bit, yeah. I get nerves, and I was just dealing with, you know, when I first got diagnosed, closing off, you know, and being isolated. Yeah, it's just stress. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I just try to take it easy day to day and plan slowly. Like I'll clean a room a day and then take it off.
Well, you already done one thing more than me then.
Well, you can only spend so long inside of a house and not do anything. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of do go off the walls a little bit. So
that's very true. So, like I say, you have what we'll do as well. We always do a blog post about each episode that we do, share a little bit of information, inside information, just a very short blog post, and we'll stick a link to your website on that. And if I can figure out how to do it, remember how to do it. If not, I'll give our pal Dave a bell, and we'll stick a link to your website on our homepage as well, so that people can find it.
Awesome. Very awesome. Very awesome.
So tell us about some of the ways then that you're raising money, and you're as well as raising awareness and being a support group for people there. Tell us about some of the things you're doing to raise money then for these for this charity.
Currently, we're doing an online, is that right, honey, campaign. On which you can find the links on our website, and then we are always on Instagram and Twitter, and then we have a Facebook group that is private group where men are. We do a lot of work actually behind the scenes. My wife always help people try to locate, because the biggest, hardest issues too is trying to track down a good rheumatologist and doctors just to get diagnosed, and getting tests ordered can become a nightmare, especially when you're dealing with something that you just knew and everything else comes with it.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you obviously you'll be aware of the ones in the Michigan area.
Yeah.
Is it something you then have to make yourself aware of in other areas for dealing with people?
Yeah. We mainly. No. She's pretty well aware of the system and stuff, and usually has a lot of help finding the right place to get them into and help them, because, like living in Montana, there's only one rheumatologist available, and it's a year-long wait.
Oh wow!
And these are the doctors that do this type of test.
And a lot of the doctors actually send us men.
And a lot of doctors will send us men, and we'll help find other doctors that maybe will help get them in and treat them and find ways to.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just give a shout out to the lady that's probably sitting or standing to your left?
Yeah.
She sounds like a fantastic lady. She sounds like a fantastic lady. So can I just give a shout out to her?
My wife, she ran Trekking Santas. She's the driving force behind this because of my organic brain disease. She does most of the campaigning and all the emailing and everything else and the running of it.
When I said earlier I would tip my hat to you, sir, I will also tip my hat and raise a glass to your good lady, because she sounds like a fantastic lady. So fair play to you both.
She deserves a lot of credit. She does a lot behind the scenes that doesn't get talked about.
I'm sure she doesn't. She sounds like a fantastic lady.
I got lucky. So I got very lucky.
Hey, it certainly sounds like you did. Well, like I said, we've got listeners in, I think it's 39 of the 50 states out there. The USA is our second highest listener base. It is. It's about a third of our listeners are based in the States. So hopefully, if it gets the message out to one person out there, we're in 42 countries now. We've added Vietnam today.
I was going to do the Robin Williams "Good Morning Vietnam" bit, but I thought no, I'll leave that because I'm sure Adam is going to do that. So
yeah, if anybody out there is suffering with any of these things, and or you've been diagnosed and you don't know who to talk to, well, guess what? If you listen to this, you do now. Get in touch with menhavelupus.org, and they'll point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
So, one of the things I read that you were doing as well, it's like a challenge where you give, someone a sentence in a foreign language, and if they need to translate it, then you have to donate.
Yep. What was that, honey? Donate.
It's a language challenge.
Language challenge. Yes. If you can figure it, you have to donate $10.
Well, there you go. I think that's something we can partake in, Gaza and Andy.
I'm
we
sure we can do that.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You up for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Yeah, our linguistic skills are. We barely speak English. You're guaranteed to make $10 out of each of us.
Yeah, we're definitely up for that.
That sounds good, then.
So as well, I was reading up. So National Lupus Day is the 10th of May. Is that something you do anything for specifically, or anything that perhaps we over here could do something for?
That's only in the States. What's this worldwide?
Worldwide is in October.
Worldwide is actually October.
Oh, okay. There you go. So that gives us a little bit of time to organise something, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully, go ahead.
We'll try and do something Tall Boy Radio wise, because we're always up for sort of good causes and trying to sort of raise awareness and stuff. So we'll put our heads together. We'll try and we'll try and think of something that we can do that will help you guys and sort of raising the awareness of lupus and all that. So yeah, we'll try and do something.
Yeah, we're always up for ideas and always welcome to work with anyone. So
anything, great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, we've got an event planned at some point this year where we're trying to raise some money for disability darts. If you listen back to some of the previous episodes, you'll know why. And obviously, myself and Gaz went to the World Cup for just disability darts. So whether it's something we could time with that or we did separately, I don't know, because we don't have a set date for that yet. But I do think like we always say, when we hear stories like this, we always think we could go about our day and then just carry on and move on to the next episode. But there's a little bit of things like this that stay with you, isn't there? And we'd like, we don't know what it would be, or if you guys have any ideas or something that we could do, then drop us an email. We'd like to contribute in some way, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's strange because now that we understand a little bit more about lupus, it's actually going to be wrong, even more ignorant of us if we don't do anything, if that makes sense. Because previously we were just ignorant, but whereas now we have the information, we have the facts. If we therefore don't do anything based on that, that actually puts us in an even poorer light. So there's a little bit of movement, Ad, and I haven't spoken to you about this in terms of the Radway and the disability darts. I think they've got a bit of funding, so they're looking at, sort of toilet facilities and this, that, and the other. So, but, yeah, my old man is on it, sort of thing. But yeah, it would be wrong of us now that we have had this podcast, and you've been great in explaining some of the issues and some of the barriers that we need to break down. It probably would be wrong of us to not do anything about it. So we will definitely look at trying to do something later on in the year, maybe. And obviously we would be more than happy to have you back on and talk about what we've done and what we haven't done and this, that, and the other. So that would be fantastic. But yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Sounds
definitely.
Good. That sounds awesome.
And I say if we build it in around the international, I like to say October gives us a little bit more time to get something organised.
Yeah, it's not so hard up. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm working on privately on my own little funding. I'm trying to work on a lupus awareness truck too. So.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
I'm on the truck scene with that too. So maybe hope to get more of awareness in that aspect of it too, and that end of it where it's not getting into the normal general public's eye. So.
Right. I guess this is as well a challenge that not just yourself, but a lot of people will face at the moment, that literally when it comes to health matters at the moment, there's literally one thing that anybody's talking about. There's one thing in the press, there's one thing on social media, there's one thing in everybody's lips. And obviously that's sort of coronavirus and what have you. So getting the attention to that is probably a little bit harder right now, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I get it and I understand it, and it turns a lot of people's lives upside down. And it's, I can kind of compare it to when you get nailed with something of this nature, but it's not going to go away. There's no I can put on a mask and avoid this. This is not I got steps to avoid something like this in my life and not hit financial ruin or end up in the hospital and struggle with stuff that, possibly I could have tried to caught, but at the end of the day, it still could have been there. And,
I guess it's one thing we take a little bit for granted in this country as well, because our medical system currently is sort of free at the point of entry. Obviously we pay for it, we're taxed for it and what have you. So there's a degree of paying for it, but it's free at the point of entry. If you are ill, you turn up, there's no worrying about how you're going to pay for this or whether insurance is going to cover it. It's there. You're going to get the best treatment that is available to you. And again, I think things like this have been a little bit affected. Things are on the back burner while they're focusing on other matters. There's a lot of personnel taken up by what's going on at the moment in the UK and America and worldwide. But I think we don't. I guess we're great. We should be grateful, shouldn't we, that we don't have to think about it like that.
Yeah. Because in my end, I mean, struggling just to get in to see doctors and get medication covers is a nightmare. And getting denied through insurance companies or other ways, is just not right. In that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing when I was, like I say, I mentioned at the start, our pal Big Titty of the Titty and China show out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Obviously, like I say, he got COVID. He's had it over Christmas, and he then obviously said, he'd got the ivermectin, but he didn't know whether the insurance company was going to pay for it. So So he's waiting for a bill, and I don't know how much of a course it is, but he's talking just $400 for that. And he said, do you know what? I'm in a fortunate position. I can pay for it, and if that's what it's needed, if it's cost me $400, and I'm so much better for having it, then that's great. And he's fortunate that perhaps he's in that position. But yeah, it terrifies me. It terrifies me that there's going to be people out there, like you say, that become homeless because of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're either struggling to either pay your medical bills, or you're struggling to put food on the table. And like when it was just even getting diagnosed, I had a 3-year wait for disability, and in between that time frame, being a male at my age and group and area in the States, at least, I don't qualify for the food stamps or the other assistance programs. So if I didn't have a roof over my head, I would have been homeless. There would have been no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's such a shame, isn't it? That again, I go back to what I said 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, that it's a shame that people have to suffer for decisions that they haven't made. It's something that it's an illness that they have, and it impacts their ability to provide or their ability to live, I suppose. If that's the issue, and it is quite sad when you think about it like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that hit home as well when you talk about expense was on your website. It said, it's cheaper to eat crap than it is to eat healthy, and obviously, you have to eat healthy, and and I sort of broke that down, and I did think about that when you actually walk around the supermarkets to pick up something that's just high in saturated fat, it's full of dairy, it's full of cheese. You can pick them up cheap as chips, for less than £1 here. But when you actually start picking up health food and stuff that doesn't contain all of this stuff, it's going to set you back a pretty penny.
Exactly. Yep. And it can be a struggle.
Yeah, and unfortunately as well, in the way, I think we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, didn't we, Gaz? The way that life is structured, you are sort of, you're very time precious. You're very time precious. You value what time you get left. So things like that, you will pick it up, and our diets, certainly I know my diet anyway, as we discussed in the previous episode, is they're not the best, and it's something that you have to work hard at. Yeah. He says sat here with a nice glass of IPA in his hand, that you really have to think about.
Yeah, and I suppose it puts into the forefront of your mind just. Yeah, and you mentioned a minute ago how privileged we are in a way to have the NHS and to have the system that, yes, and we pay for it through taxes, but it provides for us in as much as if we do get diagnosed with an illness, that actually we still know that we can get the treatment and we can have the treatment, and it's not really going to affect our house, our living, because we pay for that through our taxes. So it must be, and look, different countries have different health systems and health structures and this, that, and the other. And, lots of people will take out medical insurance and all of that. But for those people that can't afford A, the medical insurance, and B, actually the cost of the medication, that's quite a serious issue.
Yeah. And even in the UK now as well, like I say, due to everything that's going on, the actual wait to actually get seen for these things is increased. I certainly know my mum's just had to have a hip replacement operation, and the wait for that was ridiculous. She just said, I cannot live with this pain, so she's fortunate, that she's managed to go private and get it sorted out, and thanks to my uncle for kindly paying for that one. But it blows my mind really when we think about it, that we take it for granted that it's only when you hit a bump in the road like this that you start to think about your health and the cost that they have. It's something that I think I probably take a little bit too for granted. So just to give a shout out as well, one of the other things you mentioned on your website is if there's any companies out there that are looking to sponsor or looking to get involved with anything that you've heard today that you want to get involved with, we don't really know who, this is the thing about our podcast. We do it and it's a blind audience. we see the tally of the figures, and hopefully it goes upwards and upwards when people listen to it. But we don't really know who any of those people are unless they take the time to engage with us. And some people do, some people don't, some people just listen to it on the way to work. But if you are working for a company, if you can get involved, then please get in touch with menhavelupus.org, and anything that you can do to help. If you're a business that wants to sponsor, or if you can do that, the prefabricated stuff in this area in Maine that they want to do, if it's something you can help with, please get in touch, and we'd love to, like I say, we'd love to get you back on again at some point in the future, and hopefully here you're a bit further down that journey, that where you are, because it's like I say, it's a great story. It's sad that it has to happen this way in the first place, that proviso isn't there to get it done. But like Gaz said, I was struggling to get the word out, but Gaz used it there, and it triggered my mind of altruism, and it's a fabulous case of altruism that we've heard here tonight, and we can only thank you for enough for giving up your time to come and talk about it. Did any of you guys have any other questions then for Lou while he's here?
Not questions, just again an admiration for what you've gone through, for the journey that you've had from trying to get a diagnosis up to getting a diagnosis, and again I tip my hat to you in terms of the work that you're trying to do to continue raising the awareness and making it much easier for people that perhaps are in your shoes that might not have the awareness. So for me, it's been eye-opening. It's been humbling in a way, just to hear the sort of the good work that you're doing. So again, I doff my cap to you and say, well done, sir. Well done, madam. To the lady that's standing and sitting to your left, and can keep doing what you're doing, because we'll try to raise the awareness and we'll try to continue to talk about those things. So fair, well done to you, and fingers crossed all the things that you continue to try to do pay off.
Thank you.
And the other shout out that we can do as well, actually, if you are listening to this and you want some help with your social media, that is what your good lady wife does, isn't it? That was
Yep. That's her little bread and butter too on the side. She does too, on top of everything.
That's cool. That is cool. And this is a changing world that old folks like us aren't quite used to the social media management kind of stuff. But she
had her teeth back in the days when it first popped up. So
fair play. What about yourself, Andrew? Did you have any questions?
No, I think you guys have answered everything. I'm not saying a word.
That's not that unusual, though, is it, Pat?
No, that's a typical episode, isn't it, Frandy?
My camera's not frozen. I am here. But no, it's an incredible story. I think that's one benefit of social media, is that you can spread the word and reach all four corners of the world, and not everyone's alone.
Exactly.
So hopefully more people spread the word and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah,
I hope so. Like Andy says, social media, it's got its knockers, but at the same time, there is a lot of positives that come out of it, and this is one of the things that we've talked about when we've done the podcast. It's stories like this that we perhaps would have been unaware that the danger is when you're flicking through that you could miss. But we've met some wonderful people. We've heard some wonderful stories just from doing this podcast. And it's the reason why we love doing it so much, is to hear those stories. And we look forward to having you on again at some point in the future. We look forward from hearing from you very, very soon about sharing the old foreign language challenge.
For sure.
And we'll share that out on social media as well.
All right, they're in your Instagram box.
Yeah. Oh, okay, are they? Okay. That's nervous. Gaz, do you want to share how many languages? Gaz has got a beautiful grasp of the French language, haven't you? Did you want to share that?
Je voudrais une bouteille de limonade. Which means I would like a bottle of lemonade.
I would like a bottle of lemonade?
Yeah.
Yep. You got it. Got it.
Yeah, that's it. So if that is the message there, then Gaz is nailed on. He's nailed on.
If that's in the inbox now on Instagram, then I'm absolutely your man for that.
yeah. I suspect it won't be.
No,
I suspect it
no.
won't. Cool. So I think we're bringing this episode to a close now. We're getting up to around about the hour mark. So thank you, Lou. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story. Have you got any final messages, any final words that that you really want to sort of get out there for people to get involved and hit home with them?
Just don't give up and get your ANA panel and ask questions when it comes to your medical.
That's good. That's solid advice, that is. And I guess that is the message for the people out there. If there is people out there who are listening to this who aren't well and have questions and maybe thinking that this could apply to them, ask those questions, keep plugging away and stay strong. And like we said earlier, if it turns out that it is lupus that you're affected with, at least now you know where to go. So that's the one strong positive that we can take from this. So we're going to close out. We're going to say thank you to Lou for joining us. Any final thoughts from yourself, Gaz or Andy?
I've really enjoyed this episode. Very enlightening, very humbling. I look forward to seeing perhaps meeting up with Lou later on in the year and talking a little bit more about how further he is down the path. But yeah, for me, again, absolutely, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cool. Andy?
Yeah, it was a good eye-opening sort of episode. I think I said most of it in my last sentence, but yeah, good luck with everything, and I hope, like I say, you're getting further down the line and more people are reached and helped and diagnosed and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for myself, like I say, as soon as we got in contact with via Instagram, I said to these guys, this is definitely someone we need to have on the podcast, because we don't do too many serious episodes, but this is probably one of the more serious episodes that we do.
Yeah.
But we have done them, and I do think it's really, really important to get that message out there. And the fact that we know very little about this is going to mean that there's going to be other people out there who don't know a lot about it. And the danger is then, if those are those people that at the same time could be potentially affected by it, then hopefully that little bit of knowledge can be a wonderful thing for you. And like we said, we'll close out and we'll give that website one more time. So it's menhavelupus.org, menhavelupus.org. Jump online, have a look at it, have a read about all the things that they can do. And if you want to raise some money for them, if you want to assist with this in any way, wherever you are in the world, specifically, I suppose America would be easier for you guys. But like you say, you've got people in Australia and all around the place. So anywhere, wherever you are, jump online and get in contact. So it just remains for me to say thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for sharing your story. And on behalf of all the people that you do, the wonderful things you do for us, thank you. Thank you. We always sit here when you read something like this, you pray that you don't need something like this. But I think it's absolutely wonderful and absolutely vital that there's something out there for people. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we're not quite done. We thought we'd jump back on and record a little bit extra here. So we've received our language challenge. So we're each going to share the language that we've been sent, what language we think it is, what we think it might say, and we promise that nobody's Googled it or been on Google Translate. We can promise that, and you'll be able to tell that by a lack of knowledge you're about to hear. And then we'll be back in touch with Lou to send them the money when we can't solve any of these problems. Go on, Gaza. Do you want to go through yours first?
Well, do I need to try and pronounce it first? So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gahakunchin Ku Sa'a. I have no idea what it says. I'm gonna go. It's something like Central Middle Eastern, Turkish, possibly, and I'm gonna say it says all the best. Cheers.
I like it, dude. I like it. That's interesting. I'm looking at it, and it looks to me like it could well be Turkish, but I'm pretty sure he used to play for Galatasaray, if what I think it says.
I was wondering, it might be like Maori or something like that. Just that sort of bit.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, actually, Turkish might not. Yeah, that's a good shout, actually, Andy. That
It is a good shout. Go on then, Andy. Well, you're full of these ideas. Do you want to tell us what yours says? What language you think it's in, and what you think it means?
Easy. Bleed it, mate. Well, I think it's definitely Asian, but I couldn't tell you more than that. Yeah.
I wondered whether yours was. I thought Hebrew.
Yeah, I think it looks Thai to me.
Do you
I think
it looks Thai?
Thai is a bit more squigglier, I think.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. What we'll do as well, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening on the audio, sorry, jump over to the YouTube and we'll share a screenshot of this on the middle of the screen so you can see what it is. And if you know, and you know what, cheers. Bit late. There we go. Lovely and blurred. I'll put a clearer version on, don't you?
Put a clearer version on that one.
So you don't know what language it is, and you're not going to have a go at pronouncing it, Andy?
I don't know how I would.
I don't know how you would either.
No, I don't know how you would either.
So I'm going to guess you don't know what it says either.
Hi, Andy. You have a lovely beard.
Right, that would be bizarre, wouldn't it? So mine says Wibwiraga ko nakworo heroza. And actually, I thought this was going to be something like Polish, but when I say that like that, I hear what Andy, when we talked a little bit offline before we jump back on, Andy says he thinks that might be Japanese, and Wibwiraga ko nakworo heroza. And yeah, it could well be, or it could just be that Andy's supplanted that idea in my mind, and I'm saying it in a Japanese fashion.
The more you learn about the world, it sort of gets blurrier because like Eastern Russians are like a lot of them like Muslims and all that, but they speak a lot of not Mongolian, but that sort of dialect and stuff as well. So it's sort of it's tough. I mean, I was thinking it could be something like that as well, but it does sound Japanese just how you say it.
It's that last word, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it again because I've probably offended you at least once out there if you are. And we do have listeners in Japan, so they're going to think, dude, you don't know that? You don't know that somebody's asking where the toilets are? Because that's going to be my guess. Where's the toilet? And it's important that knowledge is. So, yeah, that's from us. Lou, if you're listening back to this, guess what? You're going to get me $30 ringing your way, no doubt. Although, you never know with Gaza. I think he might have just nailed that one. If anybody's going to drop lucky, we know it's going to be Gaza.
I don't think I have, dude, but we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see, indeed. So, yeah, really interesting episode, that one. We'll look forward to catching up again, and we will say for now, ta-ta, and thanks for listening.